This week in our worship service in Kendrew, in Galilee, Matt, we discussed the end of the world.
Oh dear.
Well, not actually the end of the world, but
Okay.
the apocalypse.
All right.
Now, what I didn't know was that the term apocalypse does not mean destruction.
The end of the world.
The apocalypse means the revealing of what was really going on.
Okay. So like we've always looked at apocalypse
It's over.
as a negative. Oh my gosh, we've had an apocalypse. It's horrible.
Right.
Everything's destroyed.
Right.
When that's really not what it means.
But it could mean that our misinformation, our misthoughts, are misdirected or misguided.
I don't know.
So it could be a negative because the people have been deceiving themselves
Right.
with false thoughts that don't do what they think they're going to do.
Okay.
That's going to be negative,
Mm-hmm.
which is why we need to look at what did Jesus have to say.
Okay.
And we're going to do that because before that time comes, we've got the time now. And in the time right now, we need to talk about what is going to come so that everyone listening can prepare and be better prepared for what could come.
Okay. So should we take this moment?
Absolutely.
Because it's ours, right?
That's right, because we have
This moment.
today. And because of that, we'll be right back. And it's great to have you with us. I'm Pastor Tom Nichols. And to my right, the man who's ready for hunting,
I don't hunt.
Matt
So I don't
George.
know.
Matt George.
I just love wearing this comfy kind of
It
stuff.
looks nice and warm.
It is.
And as we record, we're recording a little late this week.
Yes.
But it's Wednesday and it's only 15 degrees outside.
Yeah, it's chilly. But by the time we record this coming Sunday's service, it'll be 50 again.
Yes, yes.
So I don't know what to think. I really think, and I looked ahead for my radio show last week, that we may have a green Christmas this year.
I want to see the year we have a purple Christmas. Or an orange Christmas.
I'm not sure I'd
Or
like that.
a polka dotted Christmas.
Polka dot would be interesting.
Or stripes. Or,
I'm not sure. But it's not going to be snowy is what I'm saying, Tom.
well, that would be great for travelers.
Yes, because it'll just be a little chilly, but it doesn't even look like it's going to be that chilly. And you figure this coming weekend is 2 weeks before Christmas, and we're not really frozen over yet.
No.
This is the coldest night we've had.
Yes,
So I'll take it, and it also saves on the heating bill.
it does. And the other thing too is that for those that are concerned about it, it'll make things a little easier for Santa on Christmas Eve, because things aren't as slippery. He doesn't have to worry about the reindeer spraining ankles or
Yeah,
anything like
yeah,
that. Sled coming off the roof.
Yeah.
So it just makes things a lot
Less
easier.
likely to fall off the roof
That's
and
right.
then need
Now-
a new Santa.
Now, of course, in Galilee, we always
I mean, I'm ready to take the job if they need me to.
really.
Absolutely.
Oh, that's nice. But every year, I always keep on my cell phone NORAD's tracking of
Yes.
the sleigh, so that the kids that are here don't have to worry about missing anything.
Right.
And I mean, Santa's good with this stuff. He never misses, and the kids always have a great Christmas.
That's wonderful.
And that's just awesome. And what's better than that is that people are just together for Christmas.
Well, you know, I'll tell you a story, and I know this is off track,
It's all right.
but Carly and I ride to school. I bring her to school
Oh.
every morning
Uh-huh.
because she still goes to Ogdensburg
Oh,
for her
okay.
classes, right? So I give her a ride on my way to work. So this morning, as we're riding, I try to take that
That's your
10
time.
minutes
Yeah.
for us to chat about things that I
Yep.
can really kind of figure out what's going on in her head. So I said, so Carly, I said, you know, what do you want for Christmas this year? Right? She's 15 years old.
Sure.
Right?
Is she really?
Yeah.
My gosh.
Yeah. And she says, oh, I don't know, Dad, just some makeup and clothes is fine. And I thought, wow,
That's quite a change.
she wasn't really caught up. She loves Christmas.
Yeah.
And I said to her, it's only 19 days away. And she was like, oh, but it's not about the gifts. It's not about the gifts.
That's right. It's about the time.
It's about getting up and watching the little kids be happy, playing with their toys, and our family time together and the food we eat. There's so much, and I'm so excited for this year because Christmas is on a Monday,
Yes.
okay?
Which is hard on churches.
So, well, it's hard on churches because you have to, you know, you
You
do
have
your
Sunday service.
you do your Sunday service, and you got
Christmas
to do
Eve.
your vigil service, and then Christmas Day if you do that. Now, have you thought about what we're doing in Galilee?
We're having a Christmas Eve service in Galilee.
Okay.
Christmas Eve, downtown Galilee, 7 p.m.
Okay,
The traditional service we have every year,
okay.
and it takes about 40 minutes.
Weather permitting, of course.
Yes, and it will be permitted. You said so.
I think so.
Matt
I think
said so.
Yeah. Well, I please don't put me in a spot like that because if the weather gets really yucky and you have to cancel it, I'm going to feel bad.
But Matt, you are usually not wrong with your weather forecast.
Well, I try not to. Try not to be. So there you go. And then, you know, so you'll go to two, really, because you go to the regular Sunday service and
Yes.
then you do the Christmas Eve service
That's right.
in the
On
evening.
Christmas Day, we dedicate that to our families.
Yeah.
Now, when there's Christmas on Sunday, we'll have Sunday morning with our families, and then we come to church, and we have a short service, and then
Right.
we leave for the rest of the day.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So make some plans. Be ready for that if you like.
Yeah.
We're only going
And
to shoot
in both
one.
churches, I want to make sure people know, both churches, Kendrew and Galilee, are both going to have Christmas Eve services.
Okay.
Rick Bartholomew is going to lead the Christmas Eve service in Kendrew.
Okay, great.
Both at 7 p.m. I'll be here in Galilee. Rick will be in Kendrew. And both congregations will be able to enjoy a traditional Christmas with some of their favorite hymns, or
Yeah.
carols, and it'll just be a great time.
And it just feels good. Here's the great part about it is, with Christmas Eve on a Sunday, it's not a working day for
No.
me, right?
Right.
So I got Saturday, that's just going to be the Saturday before all that. So by Saturday evening,
You'll be all
You know,
shut down.
you'll be able to shut down and be like, oh, okay, we're good. And then we'll do family stuff on Christmas Eve,
Yep.
you right?
Throughout the day.
Throughout the day between church and all this other stuff. And then Christmas Day is on Monday. How great is that?
It's a long weekend.
It makes a long weekend. Now, last year was a long weekend because of the snow.
Yes.
And we all got snowed in.
I like that.
I loved it. I went home, last year was Friday evening. I left work, the blizzard was starting, and the other staff, the sales staff at the car dealership said, we're not opening tomorrow, we're not coming. And I said, we're not coming in. So I said, well, I don't have scheduled people in service, so I'm not coming in either.
Yep.
And of course, by the time we got up Saturday morning, it was no travel.
Right.
Right? So Christmas Eve, we didn't have service.
So no travel means no trouble.
Right. So we stayed home as a family from Friday night
Yep.
all the way through
Till
until Monday morning.
Yep. Wasn't it great?
And what a wonderful couple of days. And no, listen, nothing was huge. We just had family time.
Yep.
So please plan for that. Have that. This moment with us is just as important as those moments with your family members. And really, I hope you can enjoy the holidays like that, sitting around just enjoying each other's company.
It was.
It feels so good to even talk about
I know.
it.
I know.
Yeah.
It's funny. I was plowing snow with my little lawnmower, as you know, it has a loader in the front.
Yep.
And the snow was so deep in places. The banks were so high, the drifts, I should say, not banks, the drifts, that I was plowing through them and I couldn't see the sides.
Wow.
The snow was over my head.
Wow.
Where I was plowing through it in spots. At one point, and you know the door of my barn,
Yeah.
the snow was about that far from the top of the door.
Oh my goodness.
And all I could think of was the old-fashioned Christmas and stuff like that, where I remember my Grandpa Kingston on his farm, how they said they ran a rope from the house to the barn so they could get to milk the cows and not worry about getting lost in
Yeah.
the snow. 'Cause it
Little
was
house
bad.
on the prairie right
Yep,
there when
that's
you
right.
climbed across the top of the snow
Yep.
to get to the barn.
But yeah, the snow drifts were deeper than what I could see above, so it's weird. It felt like I was shoveling through a tunnel.
Yeah, cut the path.
Yep. And then you go from that to nothing, and it was really something to see. And I plowed things out, tried to get things opened up somewhat in case there was an emergency. And next morning I got up, started all over again.
Yeah, yeah.
The wind had changed, and it's interesting. The wind moved the snow around, swung around, and pushed the other direction to fill in what I plowed back out.
Yeah.
But it was just that beautiful perfection, that cleanliness, that crisp, clear,
Yeah.
pure vision.
Really one of those reasons why we live here,
Yes.
because
Yes.
what a glorious, I remember.
The snow was in the trees all packed in, and it just, that
Oh,
Christmas card
it
look
was
for
beautiful.
Christmas was beautiful. And you know what else it did? And then we're so thankful for those that were plowing the roads to get them opened up, and those who were responding to emergencies.
Yes.
Thank God for those folks. And those who had to work in hospitals, that was hard on them, but I gotta tell you, it was nice. There wasn't any reason for a lot of people to be calling up. So
Right.
the phone wasn't ringing. Now, for us, it was kind of a mixture of emotions because that was the first Christmas in our lives. There was just Renee and me at home.
Wow.
And we're looking at each other when I wasn't plowing. I said, Renee, this is weird. This is really weird. And she said, yeah, it is. It feels like I should be doing something. I said, yeah, me too. So all of Christmas was basically downtime. And we kind of felt like, I don't want to say we were trapped, but
Did you get to the point where you enjoyed it though, just sitting together doing whatever?
we just chilled out. And it was, again, I think I've told you before that, you know, when I took my first vacation after I got married, I took a 3-day vacation for our honeymoon, and I felt like a cat on a hot tin roof because I just felt like I should be doing something. I mean, you know, you grew up on a farm, every day you work all day, and growing up on the farm, you got one milking every 2 weeks off. So that meant you always got up at 5 in the morning,
Right.
but you got one Sunday evening milking off every 2 weeks. And it was Sunday evening, not some other evening, it was Sunday evening. So you look forward to your Sunday night off, but you never really made other plans to go very far because you had to be close to home because in our case, if one of the employees didn't show up, you're always on call.
Right.
So you have to make sure the cows are milked. So there was an attitude and you kind of get into that rhythm and it's
Absolutely.
it's weird.
Absolutely.
It's weird. But that said,
Yeah.
it was really nice to be able to just slow down. I sent pictures to Brian and Caitlin, who was expecting at that time. And this year, Sarah's going to be expecting through Christmas.
Oh, that's exciting.
And matter of fact, by the time Christmas comes, we will know what she's going to have.
Oh.
Now,
Maybe little Matthew is coming. That's a
Well-
great name.
I hate to tell you this, but
Oh.
Renee and Sarah have already had visions.
Oh.
Now, I must tell you that
Well, we've talked about this already.
Renee has never been wrong.
Okay.
And she's actually been asked for a number of people what they're going to have. She's never been wrong once. And she and Sarah both had dreams that it's going to be a little girl. So we'll see what the reveal is in a
Okay.
couple weeks.
Okay.
So I think it's the 16th. They're going
I mean, they could be wrong.
It could be. Yeah.
Well,
I'm not going to tell Renee that.
yeah. Don't watch that part.
But, again, this is just speculation right now.
Yeah.
But Renee's got a pretty long track record of hitting the nail on the
Doesn't
head.
matter. It's a beautiful thing.
Yep. And
Very excited
As long as
for
the
it.
baby's healthy and Sarah's healthy,
Yes.
I'm going to be happy.
Yes.
And I'll have 2 grandchildren to spoil.
Yes.
2.
Well, I understand.
That'll be
Yeah, I
Fantastic.
had a great niece born
You did.
this past weekend.
Yes, and you had a picture of that on
Yes.
something.
Little Charlotte. So
Yes.
beautiful. We went over and saw her. Her uncle Carson came in from Colorado Monday night. Thus, we're shooting tonight instead of last Monday. And we went over and saw everybody. And
That's great.
Little baby Charlotte. And oh, I'll tell you, just as beautiful and wonderful as you would hope.
When you see and hold a baby like that, it's overwhelming because you just see the innocence,
Oh, it's
the
beautiful.
purity, and you just marvel at God's creation.
Well, you know, we go through a lot in this form.
Yeah,
We go through a lot. We've been through a lot. So it was a glorious blessing for our family.
that's right.
To-
Renewal of life.
Oh, it's wonderful. It's
And especially if you've had a difficult time the last
Yeah.
3 weeks, and it softens the edges a little
It
bit.
really makes it that
Gives
good.
you hope.
It really does.
Yes.
It really does.
Now, what I didn't tell Matt was I was actually considering having us just talk tonight about family memories and holidays gone by and stuff like that. But I thought, no, I didn't want to go there because I didn't want to make Matt feel uncomfortable because of what you folks are all enduring right now. But here we are discussing.
I don't, and thank you for that. And I don't think it makes me uncomfortable. It makes me sad to think that Tamika's not going to be with us for those memories anymore. At least not
Physically.
not in a human form.
Yep.
But I think I appreciate the fact that the parts of Tamika that didn't always recognize the love that we all had for her.
Yep, now it will.
She was not capable of accepting that love.
Right.
It's not that she didn't want it,
It's not something she did. She didn't do something. It's-
No.
She was dealing with an illness.
but the way she was put together, so to
Yes.
speak,
Yes.
she did not have that type of feeling. And let me describe this if
Yes,
I
yes.
can for you, because I think a lot of people don't understand.
Right.
They think it's just a tragedy, somebody running. It was a tragedy, but it's sometimes I think it's a little worse in a way. But
Yeah.
here's the thing, okay? When you
She had special needs.
well, she was a special needs
Mm-hmm.
person, okay, and unfortunately, Jen and I didn't know how to recognize or deal with a lot of them
Because you're
this
human.
this is new stuff,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
So let me put that into perspective
Sure.
for you. When your family, relatives, anybody, even when you come here to church on Sunday, you look forward to seeing everybody
Yep.
and talking with them
Yep.
and reconnecting with them.
You well up with emotions.
Well, she didn't have those type of emotions.
And for those that are hearing this saying, how is that possible? Could you explain how that works in general?
It's just mentally how her
It
it was part of her mental makeup.
right.
Okay.
So she had a mental illness
She had
that
a
prevented her
yes.
from experiencing deep-seated emotions.
Yes. So listen, when she would look at Jen and say, "I love you, Mom," she meant it in her way,
Right.
but not like maybe the traditional sense that we would believe.
Right.
Okay? So she loved me. She would say, "I love you, Dad."
In her way.
And she would hug me, and she was happy with that.
Yep.
But then it was like she would step away and it would disappear from her brain like it didn't exist. Like I'm sitting here and all of a sudden I walk out of the room, the lights go out in here. Kind of like movie scenes, you know,
Okay.
or stage scenes. You leave that scene, they shut that set off. And her brain did that.
Okay.
It compartmentalized that.
I see.
And so she loved attention. Unfortunately, that negative attention she got from these suitors, the guys that she hung out with and stuff, she could be with a guy that cared for her very much and paid a lot of attention to her, but after a amount of time, it would
Just
just
change the scene.
yeah, she just wouldn't. Okay, that's boring. I got to move to the next one.
Okay.
So this is how she got into a situation. And what it did was it took away her ability to recognize danger.
Yep.
Because she didn't recognize those items of love and caring, she also didn't recognize the negative side of that
Danger,
either.
threats.
The danger and threats and how angry, mean people can hurt you. She never saw that in people.
There was a naivety.
Yes. So thus what happened. The other disability she had was she had no concept of space and time. And I'll give you an example. A few years ago when she still lived with us, when she was younger, she was out of high school, she was corresponding with a young man in Tennessee. Okay, where in Tennessee, it doesn't really matter. The fact it was Tennessee is far enough, right? And this young man, I expect, was probably in the same situation as her, not very, in tune with the world in their way, right? But he claimed that one day he drove to Ogdensburg and was there for a couple hours and then drove back to Tennessee all in one day. So he claims he left Tennessee in the morning,
That's not possible.
drove to Ogdensburg, and then spent 2 or 3 hours, and then at like 4 o'clock, he turned around, went back home to Tennessee, and by 7 o'clock he was there. So we were sitting with Tamika, and again, this is where we started learning about her even more. And I said, Tamika, in order for him to drive from Tennessee to Ogdensburg and back
It's 17 hours.
on the same day, he would have to drive at like 380 miles an hour. And she looked at me and went, yeah? See, she didn't get it. She didn't understand it.
Yeah.
For years I tried to get her to tell time. What time is it? Right? No concept.
I see.
Her friend would say, I'm going to pick you up. We teach dance class at 4. I'll come and get you. Okay. At 5 minutes to 4, she would walk down the street and buy a pizza. And they would pull up at the house and be looking for her. And they would be like, what? And she'd come around the corner. Tamika, where'd you go? Well, I went to buy a pizza. See, she wasn't doing it maliciously.
Right.
She wasn't blowing people off. She just didn't understand space and time. There was no concept of space and time. It's so difficult to understand.
Yep.
And that's what scared us the most. And that's why we feared what we feared with her. But the holidays we had with her were always wonderful. As a young child growing up, the kids were always a part of showtime.
And she took care of Tamika when she was a little baby. I remember
With Melody and you had Jason, Melody, and Carly around, and it was great.
I'm sorry, Carly. She took care of Carly when she was little.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So family memories, you hold on to them because when that person's gone, you still got them. And then when we're all together again, we can talk about them or whatever.
Focus on the good times.
And the holiday memories. Our family is very traditional, right? We would go we lived right up the street from Notre Dame Church, where I grew up, okay, a block away. So that was
What street? Mansion?
We lived on Rensselaer Ave.
Oh, okay.
The block before the hospital that's now
Yes.
a parking lot.
Yep.
Right across from the park, which actually is known as...
Right near the Fairness Flowers used to be.
Ferris Flowers at the other side of the block.
Okay.
We were on the front side towards the park.
Okay.
Okay? And that park's official name is actually Mansion Park because there were mansions
Yes.
on King Street and the surrounding streets,
Yep.
so they called it not because of Mansion Ave, they called it Mansion Park because there were mansions around it.
Interesting.
Okay?
Yeah.
Where now people call it New York Ave Park because it's on New York Ave. But the official name is actually Mansion Park if you check old
Okay, that makes sense.
city thing. Well, anyways, we were a block away from church. So our Christmas Eve tradition was we went to Mass on Christmas Eve. When we came home and my grandmother and grandfather Beldock were alive, my mother's parents, when we got home, they were at the house waiting. You could smell the coffee on, and there was going to be Christmas Eve evening. And we, the kids, would sit around and open our gifts from Grandma and Grandpa Beldock.
Yep.
It was wonderful, a wonderful time. And as the years went on, when my grandfather was gone, of course my grandmother didn't drive, so we would get done church, and we would drive over to my grandmother's house,
And you can smell the coffee.
over on Hasbrook Street, and we would hang out with her and open gifts. But that smell of coffee to this day, that's why I love coffee. And we make it every day at work, morning and afternoon, and I'm always get that smell, and I just go, ooh, it's a holiday feeling, because it is, right? But that was such a great tradition that I just knew I was going to see them, and we were going to be together. And what a great Christmas celebration the night before you go to bed before Santa Claus comes, you know?
Yep. It's part of the entire experience.
It was great
Yep.
family time.
Yep. It was back before. I mean, there was a time when Galilee did not have Christmas Eve services, and back in the 70s and the first half of the 80s, Galilee had no Christmas Eve services, and so Christmas Eve we were down at Grandma and Grandpa Kingston's on the Canton Road, which is Route 68, across the SPCA.
Right.
That red barn right there and that white house with it across the road belonged to Howard and Dorothy Kingston,
Oh, your grandparents.
Mom's parents.
Okay.
So we went down there, and have Christmas Eve with them, and I come home and go to bed. And the next morning, of course, we went out to Grandma's. We had dinner too. So as soon as we were done milking cows, we hop in the car, or I shower, go in the car, go down there, and Grandma had supper for us.
Right.
Roast beef. That was so well done. It was so tender. That
Just fall right
knives,
apart.
knives were not necessary.
Right.
You literally take your fork with a pinky, or your index finger and your thumb, you just barely touch it, and the meat would just bleh,
Oh.
right up.
Oh,
and
glorious.
the gravy, the smells of the roast beef and the gravy was coming. It was just. Of course, Larry and I had appetites,
Yeah, of course. You're hard-working farm boys.
and Grandpa would stand at the end of the table. And of course, we come lumbering through. We smell that, and something's going to happen. And we come in there, and we get ready to sit down. I knew better, but Larry always wanted to push his luck a little bit. So he goes down, and Grandpa said, no. And he wouldn't say anything else. I'm like, oh, come on, Gramps. Nope. Nobody eats until the ladies sit down.
Right.
So when all the food was brought on the table, of course, we're all starting the table like,
Smell it.
we're ready to attack. And
Right.
Herm, I knew in our way, but you didn't do that because the minute you thought about it, Grandpa, he didn't raise his voice. He just, no. And when Grandma sat down, and Mom sat down, they reached for the first containers of food, dishes of food, and then we sat down.
Right.
Because you always showed respect to ladies.
Right.
You see, some people get all twisted up if you hold a door for them. I learned the hard way. You don't not hold a door for a lady. You don't walk in front of. You never walk in front of a lady.
Right.
Because I did that once as a kid.
Oh.
And somebody, no one ever admitted to it, and I'm not sure whether it was Grandpa Kingston or Grandpa Nichols. Somebody grabbed me right by the hairs in the back of my head, right there. And when they grabbed a hold of me, now my hair was short back then, and it's still today, but when they grabbed a hold of me, they did not let go. And to this day, I still have goosebumps.
I got goosebumps thinking about it.
Just feeling the feeling of the nerve endings as they're all went, holy cow!
As your skull kind of gets separated from
Yes.
the skin and the hair. And,
Yes,
yeah.
and
That's a great holiday memory.
yes, and I'll tell you where we're going. It was Mother's Day,
Oh.
and we were going to the Anchor Down. Remember the old Anchor Down?
Oh, the anchor down right
yes,
there.
which is
Yeah.
actually, folks, who don't know this, the Anchor
where
Down used to be
Advanced-
where the Advanced Auto is.
Yeah,
now.
where Advanced
Yes.
Auto is. Yeah.
Yes, and they had good meals there.
Yes, they
And
did. They were
then
well known.
we were
for
going
it.
for Mother's Day, and I was probably 10, 12 years old, maybe.
Uh-huh.
And I had my suit with a vest,
Yeah.
you know,
Oh,
and
yeah.
a little tie and everything. And then somebody grabbed the hair, the short hair in the back of my neck. And never did I do that ever again.
Mm-hmm.
So I've had a few women over the years that have become very offended with me because I would hold the door for them going into a building. What's the matter? Don't you think I can hold the door myself? I just answer, no, I'm just showing respect for someone who deserves respect.
Yep.
And you know what? They and
That's all.
they just shut up and kept on walking. I was like,
Yeah.
that's all you can say. But it did matter because when I went to visit a lovely young lady up in the McCormick Road, first time I didn't know who it was. When I was introduced to her, I went to her side of the car and opened the door for her. And I opened the door. She looks at me. She goes, "What'd you do that for?" And I said, "Well, I opened the door for you." She says, "What's wrong with it?" Now this is my '84 Firebird with the kit lights coming out of the hood.
Yeah.
I opened the door for her and she, "What's wrong with it?" And I said, "Nothing." She's, "Oh," I said, "No, I was taught that you open the door for ladies to show respect." She went, "Oh." And then she got in the car, she was ready to accept it. And that stuck with Renee.
She accepted it all
Yes,
right.
she did. Yes, she did. But you see, she cast a spell on me because, I mean, from that point on, we saw each other almost every day. Well, there were like 3 days, and a total of like 10 months where we were not together at some point.
Wow. And all you were doing was tutoring.
Yeah. Something like that.
Something like that.
Well, you see, she cast a spell on me because then she and her mother started cooking,
Oh.
like on day 2 or 3.
Oh.
And they invited me up for roast pork.
Yeah.
Now, I said, "You mean like pork chops?" And she said, well, yeah. I said, I don't know, I'm not really much of a pork chop guy. No, because the way Mom made pork chops, and Mom was a great cook, I did not care for the way Mom made pork chops. Well, my future father-in-law said, you just try these and tell me if you don't like them. He plops it on my plate that was 3/4 the size of my plate. Now, the pork chops that I would used to see from downtown, you could smell them about that big around.
Yeah, and they had that sharp
curly.
bone on
Yes,
it.
yes,
They were
it's
kind
like,
of thin, and you cook them and they
They
curve.
curl up on the edges, that's right.
Yeah,
Well, not this. This was more like a prime rib steak.
Yeah.
I mean, when my father-in-law raised pork, he raised one pig that weighed over 840 pounds.
Oh my gosh.
Yes. When they dressed it out, they had used the loader and the tractor to get up high up in the air so that the feet weren't on the ground.
Wow.
So, when I got up, I mean, I was like,
He could grow a pig.
yes.
Yeah.
And I said, I thought you said we were having pork chops. He says, that's what you got. I said, that's a pork chop? And he looks and says, that's one of our pork chops. I was like, I mean, the pork chop was like that thick.
I'm gonna like it here.
And I'm like, wow. And I tasted it. And there was something. They cast a spell or something because
A magic ingredient.
the first bite, and it was like I was mesmerized in the
Whoa.
moment. And then the flavors, I began to savors. And then they had mashed potatoes and they had gravy. There was pork gravy and
Sounds wonderful. Sounds wonderful.
Let's just say that when I met Renee, I used to wear size 30 Levi jeans. When we got married, I'd already expanded to 32s. And I was weighing $170 when I married Renee. I've not seen $170 since.
Okay, so when I met Jen,
Yes?
I wore a size 28 jeans.
Wow. You were malnourished.
Could have been. Could have been. Because nowadays, well,
It's more than a 28?
oh, it is.
Yeah.
It's like 20 inches more than a 28 now.
Yeah, well, that's because your legs grew.
48 or 46 now.
Oh, then your legs.
Yeah, that's it. It's my legs, yeah. No.
Yeah.
But same thing.
You know what I call that? Gravity.
I call it fat and happy.
No, that's gravity. Because, you see, the way I figure it used to be my muscles were all built up in my shoulders and
Oh,
arms.
right.
I was
Now
very
it's all
muscular.
just good.
Now the gravity just sucked it in my gut. So I'm wider in the middle, kind of like a pear.
Mhm.
And so when I get into like my 70s, all that weight's going to drop into my ankles. I have fat feet. And I'll be thin again.
Good luck with that.
And on that note, I think we'll pause for some more special music. We'll be right back.
He has promised that he'd open all of heaven, and brother, it could happen any day. When God's people humble themselves and call on Jesus, and they look to heaven expecting as they pray, I just feel like something good's about to happen, and brother, this could be the very day. I have learned that all that happens just to praise Him, for I know He's working all things for my good. Every tear I shed is worth all the investment, for I know He'll see me through. He said He would. He has promised I can hardly fathom all the things He has in store for those who pray. I just feel like something good's about to happen, and brother, this could be the very day. Yes, I've noticed all bad news in the papers, and it seems like things are bleaker every day. But for this child of God, it makes no difference, because it's bound to get better either way. I've never been more thrilled about tomorrow. Sunshine's always bursting through the skies of gray. I just feel like something good's about to happen, and brother, this could be the very day. I just feel like something good's about to happen, and brother, this could be the very day.
And we're back, and one of the great memories I have growing up was that at Christmas, you always watch movies.
Oh, yes.
And of course, with younger kids in the house, you're watching all the kids' movies they enjoy.
Yes.
And of course, you can't help but try to share some of the movies you enjoy with your kids.
Absolutely.
And of course, they tell you how stuffy they were because they're just not the same as their movies. But there's actually some of them they really love.
Yes.
You know, for us, it's just like Home Alone, the Home Alone movies,
Yeah.
1, 2, and 3.
Yeah.
Those are always great.
Well, hysterical movies.
Yes.
The
yes.
pranks that they pulled on those, Joe Pesci and the other guy. I don't
Yes.
know who the other guy
Yep.
is.
But we don't. They all know the two bad guys.
The two bad guys. Just the stuff that they went through.
Yes. It was Showtime.
Yes.
I mean, the
It
kind
really
of stuff
was, yeah.
vaudeville type
Right.
humor that they all got completely destroyed, but no one got hurt.
Right.
And it's just like the politically correct crowd that would say, you can't watch Bugs Bunny because they drop anvils on each other's heads, and you shouldn't drop an anvil on your head, Matt. Just so you know.
Okay. Well, I didn't know that because I grew up with Bugs Bunny and I thought that was okay to do.
Oh, yeah,
and I've
yeah.
done it several times
Yeah.
and it doesn't seem to affect me.
It doesn't. Okay, well that's good news. Maybe the cartoon was wrong. No, maybe it wasn't wrong.
I mean, it gives. My wife says I got rocks in my head sometimes.
Oh, mine said I have nothing in my head. But the joy of just seeing the smiles on kids' faces.
Well, there was nothing like as a kid when Rudolph the Red-Nosed Reindeer was going to be on TV one
gosh.
evening.
In Rudolph, who did not have shivers go up their spine when Rudolph is going towards the island and you hear the roar in the
Yes.
background
Oh,
of
yes.
the abominable snowman,
Yes.
and you're looking for the nearest blanket, and as a kid you're trying to
Oh,
cover
like,
up,
oh no! Oh no!
and you come back to Burl Ives.
Yes.
The claymation portrayal of Burl Ives is perfect,
Yes.
and he's narrating beautifully, and I gotta say that for the technology at the time, they were geniuses at the
And
way
they're
they
still,
put it
and
together.
they're still, because those are still hits.
Yes.
You still watch them. I'm Mr. Heat Miser. You're right.
That's right. Yep.
I love all that stuff, and we look forward to those specials. And of
Yes.
course, that thing that swirled on the TV that said special.
Oh yes,
And you're like,
that was
oh, here we go.
It's time. It's gonna start.
Yeah, it's gonna start.
Come on, get in here. Get
So
the
you
popcorn.
watched that? Charlie Brown Christmas
Oh
was
yes,
great.
it was a staple. And how
You know.
about 'Twas the Night Before Christmas with the clock.
Well, what was that?
'Twas the Night Before Christmas. That was called. They had the mice in it, and the mouse was he got on the clock and he was gonna fix it. And the town clock in the center of the town stopped working, and his father was a clock fixer or whatever. No, the guy's house that the mice lived in, the owner of the house was a clock fixer.
I don't
and-
remember it all, but I'm sure if I saw it, I would remember it.
So anyway, the guy went up to fix the clock, and the guy fixed the clock. But then the mouse father's son, the little mouse, went up to the clock to help him fix it, but he broke it,
Oh.
and the whole clock went to pieces. Well then, of course, tragedy struck, and people started to question the credibility of the clockmaker, the clock fixer, to do his job. So the family was really in desperate need in this time period between basically Halloween and Christmas. And so, because Big Words is the name of the mouse, I think. No, Big Words was the letter he wrote to Santa, telling Santa not to come to town. He didn't believe in him. So, Santa then he writes off the entire town. Because the mouse writes a letter and says that we don't believe in you. So, Santa says, fine, if you don't want to believe in me, then I won't force myself on you. So the mouse then writes another letter to Santa, and he can't get it to him. So what's he going to do? There's only one way he can possibly contact Santa. He's got to fix the clock before midnight, when the clock will sing to apologize to Santa, in the hopes that as he's going by, he'll hear the sound of the clock as it sings out to the and oh yeah, I always wanted to do it for Showtime, but I couldn't get the music to the song.
Oh.
And yes, the songs in the cartoon were absolutely great. I'll have to look it up during the next break.
We're gonna have to look it up because I would love to watch it.
Yes.
The other ones that I love all the versions of
The Grinch
Christmas.
That Stole Christmas.
Oh, the Grinch is great stuff.
And of course then there are the grown-up TV shows that you watch. all the TV series that were on always had Christmas shows.
Right.
And when Tim the Toolman Taylor, he always had his Halloween special, he always had a Thanksgiving special, and he always had a Christmas special.
Right.
And there were always, Mad Lib jokes going on, and just you never knew what was going to happen next. But it was always it was done in good taste
Right.
and funny. And again, no one got hurt. And yet there's always a message contained within
Right.
the program.
And that's part of the holiday tradition is watching holiday shows. I mean, now we have nowadays this Hallmark Channel stuff, and I get it, and there's times that I enjoy it, but now we're almost reaching a point where we're at Christmas movies year round on Hallmark Channel, but they're all the same.
Yes, they are.
The Hallmark movies are okay, but they all go the same way.
Yep.
Oh, guy and a girl don't want to be in love. They don't like each other.
Nope.
They fall in love.
Yep.
Then they have a fight
Yep.
and break up.
Yep.
And in the end, they come back to each other and go, "I'm so sorry," and live happily ever after.
And he stops her from leaving at the airport.
Yes.
And
Right at the
she's-
last minute.
She's getting on the plane. They're firing up the engines. And he lays in front of the plane, stops the plane,
Yeah, or
jumps up, climbs up the outside of the skin of the
or
plane.
hangs out the bridge or whatever.
Yes.
It basically, so that's okay. And those are fine to their extent. But it's the other great holiday movies that I love so much. And, we sit as a family and watch them. Now, Joey and I already this year have sat and watched Polar Express.
Oh, yes, yes.
I love Polar Express. I love the music in it. We've done some of the music in Showtime.
Yes, we have. Yep.
For Polar Express, for Showtime Christmas shows. But there's so much. And, a tradition that Jen and I have had since we've been together for many years is to be home and watch the lighting of the tree at Rockefeller Center at the beginning of December. And we made it last week. We watched it like we normally do. And before we had kids, we would, that particular night, we would exchange one gift to start the holiday season, kind of. So
That's
it was kind
nice.
of a tradition we had made up
Sure.
for just the two of us.
Yep.
When we didn't have kids. And we always enjoyed the holidays because when we didn't have our own kids, we had so many nieces and
Right.
nephews that we loved going to see. And, sometimes we would come into town and actually go Christmas morning to Uncle Al and Aunt Mary Ann's for Alan and Nicole to be with them for Christmas morning and watch them open their gifts.
Yep.
And that was always a wonderful time. Wonderful, wonderful time.
Now, would that be before or after you board his trailer?
Let's not talk about the trailer. That was like a couple of years ago. It wasn't when he was younger.
It gives me a chance to again point out that, Matt, because of your selflessness, you and Jen both, you folks gave Christmases to 7 young people who were not going to be able to have good Christmases because they were going to be adopted, and the families were so large that nobody wanted to take the entire family. So they're going to be split up, maybe in pairs, but very possibly singles, going to various parts of the country, possibly never to be seen again. Matt and Jen said, that's not going to happen. We can't have that. The family needs to be together. They need to know who each other are. So they went from 0 to 7, basically.
Yeah.
0 to 7 kids.
Well,
and snap.
And the snap of the finger was we started out and we were married. It was, let's see, we got married in 94 and it was 2003, so 9 years later. And basically what happened was I woke up on a Monday morning with no kids in the house and went to bed that night with 3, 15 months, 3 and 4 years old. And then it just exploded in the next couple of years from there. Joey was born in 04, and then, Melody was born in 06, and then Carly was born in 08, and, there's so much going on there. And Megan, we found Megan, who's related, and she joined us, and, it's been a whirlwind and a blessing, and I don't look at it as I gave kids anything.
You gave them everything.
I tried to give them a good
You
life.
gave them everything. You went from foster parents to adopting parents,
Well,
and you went from 0 to 7 in almost no time.
and we didn't do it on our own. And I've said this enough, and I've said this a lot last few weeks. I've said it so much for all the blessings and wonderful wishes and all the gifts that we've received. At the passing of Tamika. Those kids, their first Christmas in our house. At the time, my parents were living in Queensbury, New York, And my mother worked at the Curves when that was a thing. Remember when Curves was a thing for women for a while?
Yep.
She worked at the Curves in South Glens Falls, and when we lived down there, her and Jen used to frequent there and go there all the time, right? So they knew us. Well, the Curves in South Glens Falls that year decided to adopt our kids for Christmas. So my brother came to visit a few days before Christmas, and he had 4 or 5 giant boxes full of gifts for the children. I mean, just, there was so much stuff. We wrapped and we wrapped and we wrapped, and then we said, we can't wrap all these clothes. And our sofa was full of outfits for the kids that people had given us for them. What an absolute blessing. And, you know, years later when Joey was a baby, you know, and for many years,
He ain't a baby anymore.
no, no. Yeah, matter of fact, he just got his brand new Santa suit that I bought him. Yeah, I ordered a brand new one for him because he likes to be one of the helpers.
Yep.
And he does a fine, fine job of that. As a matter of fact, he's going to be at Save-A-Lot coming up on the 16th of December in the afternoon.
What a
Anyway,
great gift.
yeah, and he loves doing it, and it's wonderful. So, anyway, Joey was newborn. He was born in November, so he was a newborn baby. And there was a couple of years in there that it was pretty lean for Jen and I, because I worked in radio, which didn't pay a lot. Between the housing agency and radio, I didn't make a lot of money those years. So it was a bit of a struggle for us. And we were always involved because Tamika was in Girl Scouts, and they helped with Toys for Tots, and of course, the radio station, we helped Ray and Laura Lee with Toys for Tots. So we were always involved in all that stuff. And we loved helping them and sorting toys and collecting toys and all that stuff for all the needy families. And this particular Christmas was interesting because we didn't have a lot. And Jen was like, what are we going to do for Christmas dinner? And I said, well, we've got a frozen chicken in there that'll be just fine for us and the kids. And, you know, we'll take the blessings we have and that's what we'll have.
It'll work.
We don't need fancy stuff, right? And it was Christmas Eve, and it was getting late. We had put the older children to bed. Joey was in his little bassinet downstairs in the living room because we needed to put the stuff out for them that we had. And Jen was horribly disappointed because she always wants to make sure the kids get all and get it. You know, I know it's not about stuff, but if she felt like it was too little, she didn't want to disappoint them. Right. And all of a sudden we hear this noise outside the front of the house, which I think they were trying to be secretive, but they didn't make it. So, and there was Laura Lee and Ray leaving us with some stuff, including, you know, a turkey and everything. And it was so wonderful of them. And
It's overwhelming.
It is. And it was wonderful. Laura Lee got to come in to see little Joey, and of course that's
And she had trouble not grabbing hold of his
Yeah,
face.
well, yeah, I get a little, you know.
Yep.
But all that stuff.
He was a cute little bugger as a baby.
People just, he was little too.
Yes, he was.
Which I don't
He was real
understand.
tiny.
Yeah, I don't.
He ate well.
He did. He did.
He grew.
And grew.
And grew.
And grew.
And grew some more.
And still grows.
Yes.
Yes. So, you know, for all that we do, people have given back to us. And I don't ask for it. I appreciate it very much. And even if we needed it, I didn't want to ask for it. But people have been so good to Jen and I that you see the light shining everywhere we go. I know. I don't even know how to explain it, except I hope that we're doing that for everybody, not just for us.
You're testifying.
Not just for us, though. I want to do it for
What
everybody.
I'm saying is, you're sharing how the love has been passed on to you, and how it's hard to put words to it, but it just fills you to the point where you can't keep it in, and that love pours out of you to others, and it just goes and goes and goes.
We just have to.
Yeah.
I don't know how you don't give it out and give it back,
Right.
because that's what does it. The love flows, and so we're very. I just again, I can't say it enough how blessed and lucky we are that this community that we live in, this wonderful community, has such great people.
Yep. It's what makes the North Country different. And they say we're backwards. Well, if this is what backwards is, I'll take it.
I'll take it. If we're old school and backwards, I think that's just fine.
Now, in order to give them a chance to get their Bibles opened up,
Okay.
we're going to pause for special music,
All right.
because you can never, ever get too much
No.
special music.
And I can put some holiday special music in there too.
Yes, you can, because we're getting around that
So
at
we're
that
getting around
time.
that time, yeah.
So we will be right back after this special music. Don't go away. We're back. We're going to turn to Mark chapter 13. And the gospel reading for today is going to be Mark 13, verses 24 through 37.
We should have made a pot of coffee.
Oh, you wouldn't want that. Of course, I could never drink coffee anyway. It never tastes good to me, but I used to drink 5-hour energies.
Oh my gosh.
When I would have when I had celiac disease and did not know it, I wasn't sleeping at night because the gluten would get in my system, and it's a toxin for me.
Right.
And it would go to my extremities, and I couldn't settle down. So I go to bed, let's say, at 8:30 at night. I'd be up again by 10.
Oh.
And I'd stay in the recliner all night trying to settle down, but you couldn't because it felt like there were bugs crawling down the inside of my legs, under my skin. But what it was the toxin that was going through my blood vessels to my extremities. And my body reacted to it as that went down my blood vessels.
I didn't realize that.
So for 3 years, I didn't sleep for an entire night. I mean, I might an hour here, half an hour there, but that was it. So to survive, I'm taking 5-hour energies, and of course I'd take like 2 or 3 at a time. Ooh. So I'm going, and it was not good. It was not healthy. But I did it for quite a while because she said, you're falling asleep and this. And my mother-in-law, she was very, very unkind. I'm finally getting settled down, and I close my eyes, go to sleep, and she smacks me. Now, I don't know what her problem was. I had cruise control on, I'm trying to get a little sleep, and I got relaxed, and she reached across the car, she smacked me right across the chest, brought me right up out of my sleep. I said, what is the problem? You're going 50 miles an hour down the road. That's what's the problem is.
Yeah, you can't sleep when you're doing that.
And on that note, we turn to Mark, chapter 13, verses 24 through 37. Matt?
But in those days, following that distress, the sun will be darkened, and the moon will not give its light. The stars will fall from the sky, the heavenly bodies will be shaken. At that time, people will see the Son of Man coming in clouds with great power and glory. And he will send his angels and gather his elect from the 4 winds, from the ends of the earth to the ends of the heavens. Now learn this lesson from the fig tree. As soon as its twigs get tender and its leaves come out, you know that summer is near. Even so, when you see these things happening, you know that it is near, right at the door. Truly I tell you, this generation will certainly not pass away until all these things have happened. Heaven and earth will pass away, but my words will never pass away. But about that day or hour, no one knows, not even the angels in heaven nor the Son, but only the Father. Be on guard, be alert. You do not know when that time will come. It's like a man going away. He leaves his house and puts his servants in charge, each with their assigned task, and tells one at the door to keep watch. Therefore keep watch, because you do not know when the owner of the house will come back, whether in the evening or at midnight, or when the rooster crows or at dawn. If he comes suddenly, do not let him find you sleeping. What I say to you, I say to everyone, watch.
May God bless this, the reading of his holy word. Thanks be to God. Amen.
Huh.
The apocalypse. The definition of the apocalypse is the revealing of truth. And so when we talk about the apocalypse, we talk about the end of the world. For some people, it will be the end of the world, because the truth, when it is revealed, for those who have deceived themselves with false truths, they'll be torn to pieces, because all the dreams that they thought could make it right, all the deception that they have allowed themselves to believe will be undermined.
Right.
And suddenly, they'll be forced to deal with reality. I can't help but think of today's world, where, literally, people have the attitude that they can think anything they want to, and that makes it real. That if I want to declare that I'm a tree, then you need to look at me as a tree and refer to me as a tree. And it's like, yeah,
You're not a tree.
but you're not a tree. You can't just decide you're a tree. I mean, that...
The reason, and correct me if I'm wrong, but the reason that those things are happening, and I'm not trying to disparage people from anything other than what's good and right.
Right.
Okay? But when you take a situation that is been used for science more than anything,
Right.
and make it your political stance, we're crossing a dangerous line.
Yes, we are.
We're crossing a dangerous line.
Yep.
It's not about politics. It's not about who you are being, and this is just my opinion, but being male and female is not about who you feel like you are.
Right.
It's how you physically were made.
Yes. Yes. It's denying God.
So there's a reality to how you were made.
Yep.
You have physical traits that will never, ever, ever change.
That's right.
No matter how you identify, no matter what kind of surgeries you get, or anything else, there are certain parts of your muscle structures and your bone structures that cannot be changed.
That's right. That's just the reality.
So stop using male and female as the tool to try and identify something that doesn't exist. And the other part of this is, and again, this is my opinion, and I have family members that I know, and I love them dearly. But do they really know God to understand? So when the truth is revealed, what do they see?
Well, but more importantly, not only what do they see, but what are they forced to recognize?
Right.
Because we're actually supporting people creating a fantasy land to create a reality around themselves that is not real.
Right.
And that in psychological and psychiatry circles is the worst thing you can do when you're supporting somebody being in their own imaginary world. That's not healthy. If I decide I want to go across the road and decide to sit down in the middle of the road, if I decide I want to do that, why can't I just sit down in the middle of the road and just take life easy? I declare this is my spot, this is my nest, I'm going to be a bird today, and I'm going to stay in the middle of the road.
And I've seen it also, and I watch social media, some TikTok stuff. These people that claim they're sovereign citizens. I don't have to follow your rules because I'm a sovereign citizen. Here's the problem.
They're not.
You're not in a sovereign land. You're not on your own land. So you got to follow the rules of whoever's land it's on. It's just like kids that live in their parents' house. Well, I don't have to follow your rules. You do when you're in my house.
Right. And
So-
no, that's exactly right. When we're in God's house,
Right.
not just the church, this is God's world. If you want to deny God's existence, do so at your own risk. But those of us who believe understand that God's world, God's rules. God's rules. God's rules. Instead of trying to find ways to argue why we don't have to follow them, wouldn't it be just a lot easier to just try to follow them?
Isn't life happier that way? Listen, I've said this
Sure
before.
can be.
I've said this before. The Bible doesn't tell you to be unhappy. The Bible doesn't tell you to be miserable. The Bible doesn't tell you to do negative things. It tells you to do what's good and right.
Be satisfied with what you have.
Yeah.
And become a blessing to others. Instead of trying to say, I want more, I want more, I want this, I want that, I don't want this, I don't want that, I want that. Instead of saying, I want, when we give, we receive more than we give.
And I'm living proof of that. I'm going to tell you right now.
You are, because you have been truly
we
blessed.
receive so much.
You've given so much of yourself towards others.
But we keep trying to give more,
Yeah.
right? And
You can't outgive God.
that's really how it works, though.
You're right.
If people are going to give to me, I'm going to give to others. I don't sit here and take it and say, "Oh, I deserve this."
But you see, here's what's happened
Yeah.
in our society. Instead of the attitude of, what can we do for someone else? The attitude is, to heck with everybody else.
What are you going to do for me?
I want mine.
Yeah.
What about me? What about me? As the world, when we start looking inward, not looking outward. When you start looking inward, you stop worrying about what's happening to other people. When we stop worrying about what's happening to other people, bad things happen. Now,
Yeah.
we're seeing that happen in the Middle East, where we have people who have sworn the destruction, not just the defeat of Israel, but the destruction, the elimination of anyone who has Jewish roots.
That's just.
Now, at no point in time has Israel said, we want to destroy and kill all people who are different religious belief. They've said, we want to destroy anybody who wants to destroy us because we deserve to live. How can anybody want to kill somebody simply because they want to live? And people want to say,
In the name of religion.
yes, yes. And that, my friends, reveals those that are truly following religious beliefs and those who are following self-serving beliefs. Because if you look truly at religious groups that are legitimate, it's a fairly well-known fact that religions usually talk about helping others. Helping, not harming. I don't care whether it's Buddhist or Sikh or Hindu. There's an effort made to reach out, to help, to build, not to tear down. Anybody who wants to tear down, to destroy, just for the purpose of satisfying their own needs, is not following religious dogma. They are doing something that is self-serving and using religion as an excuse to do what they want to do for themselves.
So tell me if I'm wrong. But truth faith creates hope. Hope in each other, hope in the future, hope in what happens after
Yes.
we leave this world. That's true faith.
Yes.
If along the way you're claiming that you have faith and part of your seeing hope is destroying others, then that's not true
That's
faith.
deceiving yourself.
That's not true faith.
That's faith in something that is not godly.
Right.
It is faith, but it's
not-
something that is ungodly.
It's not the right. Yeah.
Satan likes destruction.
Absolutely.
Satan likes to cause pain. Satan likes to divide. Satan likes to cause frustrations.
Sadness.
So, this week, don't feed Satan by doing something that's negative. See if there's something you can do. Something that can brighten somebody's life. Maybe it's a phone call, maybe it's a card, maybe it's simply waving somebody when you're going to the road. Letting them know somebody cares. We need to show we care. Christians have been lackadaisical times in reminding people that we care. When we're intentional, God remembers. When we're intentional, God rewards us, blesses us, by giving us even more back. You cannot outgive God. Try to test that. You'll find that I'm right. When you give, you'll find you're receiving more than you could possibly ever give. And on that note, we'll have some more special music. Come back with our wrap-up of the week.
saw a blind man trapping along, losing his way as he passed through the throng. Tears filled my eyes, I said, friend, you can't see. With a smile on his face, he replied to me, I see all my friends in Galilee Square. What a wonderful time we're all out there. We'll sing and praise Jesus, his glory to share. And do not see one blind man in Galilee Square. Now I saw a cripple dragging his feet. He couldn't walk, what could he do down the street? I said, my friend, I feel sorry for you. But he said, up in heaven, I'm gonna walk just like you. I see all my friends in Galilee Square. What a wonderful time we're all out there. We'll sing and praise Jesus, his glory to share. And do not see one crippled in Galilee Square. Now I saw an old man gasping for breath. Soon he'd be gone as his eyes closed in death. He looked at me, said, boy, don't look so blue. I'm going up to heaven, how about you? I see all my friends in Galilee Square. What a wonderful time we'll all have there. We'll sing and praise Jesus, his glory to share. And we'll all live forever in Galilee Square.
And we're back, and we know there are a lot of people that are sick in the world right now. Some physically, some mentally, some spiritually, some that are afraid, some that are worried about the future. And, you know, one of the nice things about the scripture you read today, we can't change what's going to happen. Now, you've heard me use the analogy of the Titanic somewhat. I want to touch on that just a bit more here as we go into our prayers and concerns. When you look at Christianity and your mission as a Christian, I want you to consider, and I'm going to lay it right out in more detail than I have in the past. We've all been told that the Titanic is going to sink. We've all been given tickets, and we have to get on the Titanic. We have to. That's our mission, to get on the Titanic. It's going to sink. It's going to sink because it's going to hit an iceberg. In the meantime, between the time you board the ship and the time it hits the iceberg, your responsibility is to tell as many people that the ship is going to sink and that you need to prepare them for how they can survive the accident. You have an opportunity to save lives by doing anything you can to help them be better prepared to survive the crash. Now, here are the rules. You cannot stop the ship from going.
It's got to happen.
You cannot start letting lifeboats down before you think it's going to happen and get people off that way. You cannot change history, but you can change, potentially, how many people die based on your willingness to tell them how to live, how they can live. You can do anything. So you could take some courses right now, because you haven't gotten on the ship yet. You could learn how to swim better. Maybe learn how to teach people how to swim. Maybe you could take some CPR courses, first aid. Maybe you want to learn more about how the proper protocols are when you are in an accident, how people should load the lifeboats to get away, and best practices. Be creative. Your job is to try to save lives. Now, if you're saying, now Tom, why are you obsessing on this? Because we can identify with the period of time between the time they get on the boat and we're all thinking to ourselves, oh, if they only knew. And you're thinking, what could they do to not hit the iceberg? What could they have done to save lives? So, if you had the chance, would you want to save anybody's life? Because we're all on the Titanic. We all know someday our lives will come to an end. Maybe not because we hit an iceberg, but something's going to happen. We're all terminal. We may have an accident. We may have a disease. We may go through some other kind of debilitating
We
situation.
may live to be very old.
Right, but at some point our physical lives will end. But your spirit, the spirit portion of your being, must go someplace. Can you help somebody to sort out where their spirit should go by letting them know what needs to happen? Let them know how they can save their lives. That's what we're called to do as Christians. With the attitude of, with the sense of urgency that existed on the Titanic, if you could have saved 10 people, would you? If you could go back in time and save 100 people, would you do it? If you could just save one, would you do it? If you could save one person, but that person was not a very nice person, would you still save them? What if that person was somebody that you don't like, but you still have the chance to save their life? Would you do it?
Mm-hmm.
Only you can answer that. This scripture reminds us of the limits of time. This week, I'm asking you to pray for those that are sick, to pray for those whose lives are in danger because of war, to pray for those who are losing hope, pray for those who are scared, to pray for those kids who are coming home from school and they're failing, and they don't know what their parents are going to do when they get home, and they're afraid they might get kicked out. Pray for those folks. Pray for the future of your church, whatever your church may be, because all churches have a responsibility for identifying ministry and then carrying it out. You see, what I described in the Titanic is actually ministry, providing someone with the opportunity to save their life. You can't guarantee they'll save their life, but you can guarantee they know something that would allow them to have a better chance. Now, Jesus said, be alert, keep watch. God said, until he returns, we have a job to do, save lives. Some of us have not done very well. Luckily, the owner hasn't come back yet. But do not let the owner find you sleeping. Do not let him find you sleeping. Let's pray. Almighty God, we ask you to heal the sick, to comfort the grieving, to strengthen the weak, to give hope to the hopeless, to protect those who are driving on the roads, to bless those who keep us safe and free here at home and abroad. We pray for those who seek to teach children and not indoctrinate them. We ask you to bless those who wish to seek higher office, that they would bring honor and glory to you, Lord, by doing what's right for this nation, by reminding us that this nation is a nation under you, Lord, a nation that has served you, that has lost its way but can find its way back. And may you bless those who try, sometimes unsuccessfully, but try to bless you by doing the right thing. May you bless our ministries, and may you bless our families with peace. May you keep our nation at peace, and may we serve you in spirit and truth. We ask for this in Jesus' name, who taught us to pray, saying, Our Father, who art in heaven, hallowed be thy name. Thy kingdom come, thy will be done, on earth as it is in heaven. Give us this day our daily bread, and forgive us this trespasses, as we forgive those who trespass against us. And lead us not into temptation, but deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, and the power, and the glory forever. Amen. Well, Matt, it's almost time for us to go, but
My goodness.
we want to thank people again for their gifts. And there are people who give gifts at the end of the year. We always appreciate those gifts, so thank you. They do help to fund ministry. And all churches are struggling right now because of the effects of COVID that still exist in our communities. People got out of the habit of going to church, and they haven't gone back into it. So yes, churches are challenged, and we appreciate your support. And on that note, it is time for us to start
Okay.
another week closer to Christmas.
Wow.
Thank you for joining us. We share some memories and are reminded.
It was a lot of fun.
Yes, it is.
Some ways,
It's
you know.
great feelings, great feelings, great memories. And we need to make sure we remember those times, because they help to carry us through the hard times.
And not only that, we need to remember to create more of those.
Absolutely. Absolutely. So reach out and love those around you today. May the good Lord bless you and keep you. May the Lord make his face to shine upon you and be gracious unto you. And may the Lord lift up his countenance upon you and give you peace. Amen.
Amen.
Have a great week, and we will see you next week, right here in Kendrew in Galilee. Have a nice week.
We send him down my way.